Me, 49F, living outside Seattle Chief People Officer at a SaaS unicorn in the digital mental wellness space. Whole career built on soft skills, emotional intelligence, and designing healthy corporate culture. Base salary around $268,000. Husband is 52, teaches US. History at a public high school nearby. Good man, dependable, stable, all that. But if I'm being honest, he's basically a side character in my story. I make almost 4 times what he makes. I pick the trips, I pick the cars, I pick the people we spend time with. He smiles, agrees, and hauls the bags. We have one son, Ethan, 24. Ethan was my masterpiece project. I didn't just want a kid. I wanted to raise a correction, an antidote to everything broken in men. I wanted a boy who was gentle, artistic, emotionally open. A boy who'd rather write poems than build shelves. A boy who would grow up and dismantle patriarchy from the inside from day one. I curated his life like a museum exhibit. No blue baby clothes, no toy trucks, no soldiers, no aggressive imagery at all. His nursery was painted this soft, muted green I called healing sage. I packed his shelves with books about feelings, community, and solving conflict through dialogue, banned superhero movies in our house. Because I said they normalize vigilante violence. I really thought I had cracked the code. I was the artist, he was the material. Turns out reality is stubborn as hell. First signs showed up when he was maybe 6. I bought him a gender-neutral dollhouse. My plan was for him to role-play complex family dynamics and emotional scenarios, left him alone. For maybe 15 minutes, came back and the roof was gone. Not removed carefully, destroyed. He wasn't playing house. He had a landscaping rock and was smashing the plastic supports because he wanted to see the frame underneath. I lit into him for wrecking it. He looked up at me with these huge, confused eyes. But Mom, I wanted to know how it stays up. That should have been my warning. Grade school rolls around. I sign him up for interpretive dance and violin. He hated both in dance class. He'd stand in the back, stiff and miserable, like someone in a hostage video. Meanwhile, he starts hanging out with the neighbor kid. Tyler's dad was a mechanic, chugged rock star, and owned a Sea-Doo, basically a walking list of everything I couldn't stand. Ethan starts coming home smelling like gasoline and dirt knees, scraped up knuckles, busted always. Some new bruise, I tried redirecting it. Ethan, why don't you have Tyler over here? We can do watercolor. He looked at me like I was speaking another language. We're building a bike ramp, Mom. A ramp? That sounds dangerous. It's awesome. We measured the angle and everything. Measured the angle this kid was failing math because he refused to show his work the right way. But somehow he was outside doing angle calculations in the driveway for a plywood bike ramp. I told myself it was a phase, just wild little boy energy. Something I could train out of him with more mindfulness and better habits. Middle school was war. I lived in parent-teacher conferences. Not because he was acting out, because he just didn't engage. One of his English teachers told me, dead serious, Ethan is here physically, but mentally he checks out. He refuses to engage with the oppression themes in our reading unit. I was humiliated, came home, and lectured him for hours about privilege and civic responsibility. He'd just sit there staring at one spot on the wall, stone-faced flat. It made me furious. Why wouldn't he cry? Why wouldn't he react? Why wouldn't he emote? Felt like arguing with a cinder block. Then 10th grade hit, and the gap between us turned into a canyon. I was at the top of my career doing TEDx-style talks about compassion at scale, got featured on one of those women in business watch lists driving a fully loaded electric SUV that looked like a concept car. The doors and screens made it feel like a spaceship. We were remodeling the house into this expensive mid-century / brutalist thing, dropped about $92,000 on the kitchen alone because I wanted the exact right shade of slate gray countertops. Meanwhile, Ethan discovers the metal shop at school. Suddenly, my C student is pulling perfect scores, hundreds in one shop class, as if that was supposed to impress me. It didn't count. You don't put advanced welding on an Ivy League application and expect applause. He starts bringing home these huge, ugly metal pieces, heavy sculptures made of welded gears and chain links, industrial junk turned into shapes. He'd be so proud. Look, Mom, I finally got the TIG welder down. See these lines? Clean beads, like dimes. I'd look at the thing like it was scrap someone forgot to throw out. That's interesting, Ethan, but it's heavy. Don't put it on the glass table. It's strong, Mom. It could hold like 1,000 pounds. Great. Maybe you can sell it at a flea market someday. I watched the light leave his face when I said, that didn't care. In the moment I was trying to break the obsession. Manual labor was not the future I had planned for him. I needed him focused on SAT prep. I hired tutors the expensive kind, $175 an hour. He skipped sessions to hang around a scrapyard. I was completely out of patience. All my friends were bragging about their kids. Mason got into Princeton. Ava is launching a nonprofit for media access. I'd sit there with my wine and say, Ethan is exploring hands-on cognition. Could feel the judgment every time, could feel the pity, could feel the embarrassment crawling up my neck. Senior year came, and it was decision time. I already had the whole path mapped out for him. Small liberal arts school in Oregon, maybe a gap year in Europe so he could find his voice, then law school or nonprofit work. I set the college brochures out across the dinner table, like I was laying down a winning hand, private liberal arts schools, gap, year programs, campus photos, full of smiling kids in scarves, pretending to read. My husband keeps his head down and eats his kale salad like Switzerland. Ethan is 18 now, not skinny anymore, filled out all at once, broad shoulders, thick forearms, eats like a farm animal. He looks at the brochures, then calmly shoves them to the side. Mom, Dad, I'm not going to college. Silence. The clock in the hallway suddenly sounds loud as a gunshot. Tick, tick, tick. I put my fork down so hard it rattles the plate. My hands are shaking. Excuse me? I'm not going. I already applied to a commercial diving school in New Jersey. It's an 8-month program. I want to do underwater welding. I laughed one of those sharp, mean laughs that comes out before you even think a welder. So what, you want to be a plumber in a scuba suit? He doesn't react. It's specialized, Mom. Infrastructure work. Bridges, pipelines, marine repair. It pays really well. I stand up, chair legs scrape the floor. Pays well compared to what? The guy who trims our hedges? Ethan, listen to me. The economy is shifting to knowledge work. AI is replacing everything. Robotics will take over manual labor. If you choose this, you are choosing poverty. You are choosing obsolescence. I did not raise you to be a grunt. I raised you to lead. He looks me straight in the face, doesn't flinch, doesn't blink. I am a leader, Mom. Just not in your world. That sentence hit me like a slap. My world is the only world that matters, I snapped. Then I fully lost it. Voice up, pointing, shaking. If you walk out of this house to go to trade school, you're cut off. No tuition, no rent, no car insurance, no help. You are completely on your own. I expected fear. I expected tears. I expected him to fold. Instead, he just nods. Once, okay. Just that, okay, like I asked him to pass the salt. He stands up, goes to his room. I hear drawers opening, zippers, closet doors. 10 minutes later, he comes back down with an old duffel bag and a coffee tin full of cash. He'd been saving, walks right past me. Doesn't say goodbye in the driveway. He hugs his dad longer than usual. I watch from the kitchen window with my stupid herbal tea in my hand. Furious, hurt a little. Sure, but mostly insulted. Like deeply, personally insulted. How dare he reject the life I built for him? How dare he pick danger and grime over the clean path I laid out? I tell my husband, give him 6 months. First time he has to pay real rent on a laborer's paycheck. He'll come crawling back. 6 months turns into a year, then 2, then 3. We barely hear from him. My husband gets random texts now and then. In Louisiana. Heading offshore. North Sea next month. Safe. Working. Love you. Never asks for money, never apologizes, never asks to come home. I start checking his social media like a detective, barely anything. There he posts once every few months, some grainy photo on a boat at dawn, him in heavy gear, helmet harness, grease on his cheek, beard coming in thicker eyes, half dead from exhaustion. Another one holding a torch, sparks flying. It all looked brutal and dirty and temporary. I showed those pictures at work sometimes, usually after someone talked about their kids' grad school plans. I'd do the sad little sigh and say, this is what happens when you don't push higher education hard enough. He had potential. Now he's probably living paycheck to paycheck in motels near shipyards. My coworkers would make that pity face. I hated the pity, but I also fed on it. Meanwhile, my life looked incredible from the outside. Market was on fire. Our company went public. My equity exploded. Paper wealth turned real. We bought a vacation place in Park City. I ordered one of those fancy connected bikes and used it maybe 3 times. I bought a purebred Frenchie because it matched the color palette in the living room. I felt untouchable. I was educated, I was rich, I was progressive. I was absolutely certain I was on the right side of history. Ethan came home one Christmas 4 years after he left, pulled up in a rental, SUV, got out, and for a second I almost didn't recognize him. He looked enormous, not fat, dense, solid, like he'd been built out of cable and oak when he walked through the house. The old floorboards complained. His hands were rough-scarred knuckles, thick palms, calloused. Shaking his hand felt like grabbing a chunk of lumber. I hated how much it bothered me. It felt primitive, like evolution in reverse at dinner. I decided to be nice, which for me meant polite and condescending. So, Ethan, are you still doing the swimming thing? He cuts into his roast, like he's not even listening for traps. It's saturation diving, Mom. But yeah, saturation diving, I repeat, like I'm humoring a child. Do they at least give you health insurance, or is it just cash under the table? He actually laughs, not defensive, just amused. Full benefits. Union. Retirement too. Well, that's something, I guess. I take a sip of wine and keep going. Don't you worry about your brain turning to mush? I mean, you're not exactly down there reading philosophy, right? I listen to audiobooks in the chamber, he says, during decompression. Audiobooks, I say and scoff. That's not the same as reading. Sharon's son is a junior VP at Salesforce now. He just bought a loft downtown. He's doing real intellectual work. Ethan takes a drink of water. Good for him. That's it. No argument, no insecurity, no need to prove anything. It made me crazy. I wanted him to push back. I wanted him to justify himself. I wanted one crack in the armor, but he just sat there calm and solid like a concrete post. He left the next morning, hugged his dad, nodded at me. Drove off. I told my husband, he's hiding something. Probably drowning in debt and too proud to ask. Did you see what he wears? Flannel, denim, work boots. He looks like a lumberjack. My husband said, he looked happy. I snapped back. He looked tired. He looked worn out. Then the world shifted. Year 5 after he left, tech started cracking. The bubble finally popped. Inflation went insane. Interest rates shot up. Suddenly all those visionary companies that never made actual money were in trouble, including mine. Investors stopped caring about culture decks and values, murals they wanted, margins, efficiency, headcount cuts. The people team went from strategic to expensive. Overnight, I got a calendar invite on a Tuesday morning, organizational restructuring discussion. I walked in, confident anyway. I was the CPO. I had built that culture from scratch. I wrote the leadership framework I designed, the hiring philosophy. I ran the offsites, the CEO, a 33-year-old hoodie-wearing narcissist. Barely looked up from his laptop. We're moving to a lean operating model, he said. Your role is being eliminated. Effective immediately. I actually thought I misheard him. What? You can't be serious. What about the initiatives? The inclusion programming? The wellness retreats? The leadership development tracks? He finally looked up bored expression. We can't afford any of that. We need to ship product. Security will walk you out. That was it. 2 decades building a career, gone in maybe 10 minutes. Badge, disabled laptop, collected box of desk junk in my arms. Escorted out of the building, like I'd stolen something. I went home and drank an entire bottle of Pinot on the couch. Told myself I'd bounce back. I was a catch. I had executive experience. I started applying everywhere. Nothing, silence, automated, rejections, crickets. Nobody was hiring, C-suite HR, people at $275,000 anymore. The market was packed with laid-off tech execs, all fighting for the same scraps. I land a few interviews. They all feel the same. By the second round, smiles at first. Then they clock my face, 53. Now, then they hear my compensation expectations. Then I never hear from them again, ghosted over and over. 6 months goes by. Severance runs out. Unemployment checks are a joke. Bills stack up on the counter like a threat. We are absolutely house poor. Mortgage is $8,700 a month, then property taxes, then insurance. My husband's teacher paycheck barely covers groceries and utilities. We start chewing through savings. The market crash slams our 401k at the same time. Perfect timing. I start selling things, anything that looks like money. The vacation condo in Park City won't move. Market is frozen if we sell now. We get wrecked, so it just sits there bleeding fees. We sell my electric SUV, that one hurt more than I want to admit. Watching my shiny little spaceship get driven away by some guy I didn't know. Now I'm driving my husband's 11-year-old Prius. It rattles the fabric. Seats smell faintly like chalk dust and old fries. I hate every second of it. I stop meeting my friends for lunch. Can't justify $28 salads and sparkling water anymore. So I make excuses, then I stop replying at all. I disappear, depression hits hard. I spend whole days in a robe on the couch, scrolling LinkedIn, seeing open to work frames on every other profile. Picture refresh, refresh, refresh. The walls feel like they're inching closer. I was supposed to be an expert in human capital. I gave talks about talent strategy. I built org charts and leadership pipelines, and suddenly the market is telling me I'm worth nothing. One night, my husband says very gently, "Maybe we should call Ethan." I snap so fast it scares even me. Call him for what? Pocket money? He's a trades guy. He probably barely covers rent. I am not humiliating myself by asking my failure of a son for cash. My husband just looks tired. "Claire, we're drowning. We'll figure it out." I am not a charity case. Then we hit bottom. January, we get one of those weird cold snaps that makes everybody in the region act like the apocalypse is here. Storm rolls through, power goes out for 2 days. House gets colder by the hour. When the electricity finally comes back, the furnace doesn't house. Temp drops to 46. I can see my breath in the living room. I'm standing in, gloves inside my own house. Call. An HVAC company. Guy comes out in the afternoon. Older guy, clipboard, flashlight, dead eyes. Of a man who's had this same conversation 1,000 times. He opens the unit, looks around, taps a few things, then straightens up and says, "Ma'am, this system is done. Unit's about 24 years old. Heat exchanger is cracked. I've got to red tag it. You cannot legally run this. Carbon monoxide risk." My teeth are chattering. "Fine. Fix it." He shakes his head. "Can't repair this one. You need a full replacement. And your ducting is shot too. Whole thing needs to go." I ask the question already knowing I won't like the answer. "How much?" He checks his tablet. "With labor, permits, and ductwork, you're looking at around 15 grand. And I start laughing. Not normal. Laughing, not even angry. Laughing full on. Hysterical, manic, losing my mind laughing. Because we had $286 in checking. That morning I know, because I checked twice our credit cards are maxed, from just living groceries, insurance, minimum payments, gas, all of it. I stop laughing and just whisper, "We don't have it." Guy gives me a helpless shrug. "Sorry. Get a couple space heaters for now." Then he leaves, front door closes, house gets quiet again, cold quiet. My husband gets home and finds me on the couch wrapped in 3 blankets and an old duvet. I'm crying so hard I can't breathe. Right, not? Cute tears, not movie tears, ugly full body, sobbing snot, shaking humiliation. All of it. "It's over," I tell him. "We're going to lose the house. We're going to freeze in this stupid expensive house." He doesn't argue, doesn't try to pep talk me, just takes out his phone. I'm calling him. "Don't you dare." He looks at me, and for once his teacher voice disappears. "Claire, be quiet. Just be quiet." He dials, puts it on speaker, ring ring. Then Ethan picks up, "Yeah. Hey, Dad." His voice is loud and clear. Confident background noise is insane. Metal clanging engines. Something thumping sounded like heavy machinery and rotor noise. My husband explains everything. Furnace, my layoff, money debt. The house, I curl up tighter and wait for the humiliation. Wait for the lecture, wait for should have respected trade school. There's a few seconds of silence on the line. Then Ethan asks, "Is Mom okay?" My husband says, "She's freezing and scared." Ethan doesn't pause. "Pack a bag. Go to the Hyatt by the waterfront. I'll book it right now. I'm flying in first thing tomorrow." My husband starts to protest. We can't afford a hotel. I'm paying for it. Go now. Click, he hangs up. Just like that. We go. Hotel lobby feels like another planet, warm, bright, clean. The room isn't a room, it's a suite. There's food already. On the way room service, he ordered, ahead. Somehow I eat a burger and fries like I haven't seen food in a week, grease running down my hand. Don't care. I sleep for almost 14 hours. Straight next morning. We go back to the house, still cold. Still smells like damp drywall and stale air. We're waiting in the driveway for Ethan. I'm expecting a rental or maybe some beat-up work truck. Instead, this low black coupe glides onto our street like it took a wrong turn. Out of a movie set, blacked out Bentley Continental, GT deep gloss paint, wide stance, big wheels. Quiet in that expensive way. The driver's door opens, Ethan gets out, and somehow he looks even bigger than last Christmas. Clean work pants, Red Wings, thick flannel jacket over a thermal beard, trimmed skin, clear eyes sharp. He looks healthy, he looks loaded. Not soft rich, not startup rich, not my stock vested rich. The kind of rich that feels earned and dangerous. The kind that says he could buy my house, then decide if he wanted to keep it. He walks up to the porch. My husband hugs him immediately. I just stand there with my arms crossed, shivering under a coat. Hi, Mom. Hi, Ethan. Another truck pulls in behind him. Then another HV. A.C. Company vans. Crew jumps out fast. 4 guys in uniforms, tool bags, ladders, rolls of material. Ethan points at the house like he's running a job site. Rip the whole system out. All of it. I want the top-end Carrier Infinity setup. Smart zoning. New ductwork. Done today if possible. The foreman nods like this is normal. Yes. Sir. We're on it. Ethan walks past me into the house. Let's talk. We sit at the kitchen table in coats, workers already banging around in the crawl space. He pulls out an iPad Pro, opens notes and a calculator, like he's done this before. Dad gave me rough numbers. I need exact numbers now. Mortgage balance. I stiffen up. That's private. He looks at me, calm, steady, not angry, just direct. Mom. Numbers. Now. It's not loud. It's worse than loud. It's the voice of somebody used to giving instructions in places where mistakes get people killed, and I just fold 462,000 left. Payments are 8,700. My voice gets smaller with every number. Credit cards, 41,000. Personal loans, 18,000. He types everything in no reaction, no eyebrows up, no judgment, just tap, tap, tap. Then he looks up at both of us. Okay, here's what's happening. I'm wiring money today and paying off the house. I'm clearing the cards and the loans. My brain genuinely stalls out. I actually gasp. Ethan, that's... I do the math and fail halfway through. That's over $500,000. You can't just throw that on a card. The interest alone would destroy you. He looks at me and gives this slow, tired smile, not smug, almost sad. I'm not putting it on credit, Mom. I hear my own voice come out sharp and ugly. Then how? You're a welder. You dive in the ocean. He leans back in the chair while drills scream in the hallway. I'm a lead saturation dive supervisor now. Underwater welding specialist with Atlantic Subsea Pipeline. I work about 6 months a year. I live in a pressurized chamber for 30 days at a time. Base rate is $2,400 a day. Then depth pay. Then hazard pay. He keeps talking like he's reading off the weather. In a decent year, I clear around $760,000. I stop breathing for a second, actually forget how $760,000, and he's 27. My son, the kid I wrote off as a cautionary tale, he keeps going. Calm as ever. I didn't blow it on toys. No luxury EVs. No corporate retreats. I bought land. I've got 4 rentals in Oklahoma, and I just closed on the Henderson place up the road. My brain lags the Henderson place, the 18-acre horse property, the one with the gate and the red barn and the listing photos all over local realtor Instagram, the one listed at like $2.7 million. I stare at him. You bought the Henderson place? Yeah. Moving my fiancé in next month. Fiancé great. Another word I did not know existed in my own son's life. Room starts tilting everything I believed about him, starts collapsing in chunks. The dumb trade, the wasted potential, the temporary phase. He is literally the 1%, the success story, the wealth story, the ownership story, the capitalist fairy tale. I always assumed belonged to people like me, except he did it with his hands, with steel, with risk, with all the masculinity I spent years trying to bleach out of him. And I start crying hard, not graceful tears, not one little tear rolling down the cheek, full face, collapse, shame, relief, humiliation, all of it at once. I choke out. Why? After everything I said to you, after I threw you out. He looks at his dad first, longer than he looks at me, because Dad's a good man. Then he looks at me, steady not cruel, which somehow hurts more, and because you're my mom. Even if you were wrong about basically everything. Brutal clean, kill no raised voice, no speech, just facts. He stands up, I'm gonna supervise the install. I put $12,000 in your joint account for groceries and bills. Don't waste it on artisanal greens and crystal nonsense. Buy food. Pay utilities. Then he turns back to me. And Mom, I look up mascara everywhere, face hot from crying. Stop applying for jobs. I blink. What? You're done. I'm covering expenses now. You look exhausted. You're stressed out. Stop trying to climb a ladder that isn't even there anymore. Then he walks out to the driveway, like that conversation over. I sit there frozen, while men in boots carry sheet metal through my house. Through the window, I watch him talk to the crew. They listen, they nod, they respect him instantly. He knows what to ask. He knows what they're saying back. He speaks that language like it's native. I look down at my hands on the kitchen table, manicured nails, soft skin, expensive lotion, absolutely useless in a crisis. I spent half my life looking down on men like him. And now a man like him is the only reason I still have heat and a roof. 6 months later, nothing is back to normal. There is a new normal now, and it belongs to him. We go to dinner at the Henderson place. His place. I still can't say that. Without my brain flinching, the house is stunning. Vaulted ceilings, exposed beams, stone fireplace, real wood floors that creak in a good way. Not the cold, sterile museum aesthetic I used to worship. No gray on gray on gray. This place feels warm. It feels lived in. It feels safe. His fiancée is there, Emma. 25, pediatric nurse, pretty in a simple way. Sweet without being fake, traditional in every possible sense. And she absolutely adores him. She's in the kitchen making a salad while he's outside on the patio. Grilling steaks, I watch them through the glass doors. He walks in behind her, grabs her around the waist, lifts her up like she weighs nothing, spins her. Once she laughs and smacks his shoulder with a dish towel. It's straight out of a 1950s magazine, at the exact kind of scene I spent 30 years tearing apart in papers and essays and conference panels. The scene I labeled oppressive, regressive, performative. And now I'm standing there watching it. And all I can think is, that looks like happiness, that looks like stability. I step outside cold air, grill smoke, night sky. He hands me a glass of Cabernet. Very good Cabernet, the kind I used to order when stock options were paying for everything. Nice night, he says. Yeah, it is. I look at him, really look at him, and I try to say it. The apology. The real one. The one that's years overdue. Ethan, Nothing comes out. Right? The words jam in my throat. My pride is apparently the last organ still functioning at full strength. He knows exactly what I'm trying to do. He taps his glass against mine. Soft clink. Don't worry about it. Mom, just enjoy the wine. And that's when it hits me. He doesn't need my apology. He doesn't need my permission. He doesn't need me to validate a life that already validated itself. He moved past me a long time ago. We sit down to eat. Steaks come off perfect pink, center char on the edges. Emma made roasted potatoes and some salad with actual flavor. Conversation. Stays light. I do not bring up politics. I do not bring up systems. I do not bring up social justice. I do not say one word about patriarchy. Because the patriarchy paid off my mortgage. The patriarchy bought this wine. And the patriarchy is apparently out there, fixing pipelines and power systems. While I sit here and consume, my husband looks happier than I have seen him in years. Younger. Even he and Ethan talk about fishing engines, irrigation, fencing, soil. Actual things, real things. I sit there and realize something ugly. I was the problem. I was the storm cloud in this family. I kept trying to cram both of them into shapes that made me feel superior. I kept trying to make them smaller so I could feel bigger. 1 year later, Ethan and Emma get married. Big, wedding, beautiful, not wasteful. Paid in cash, no debt. Of course, I'm mother of the groom. I wear a dress Ethan paid for. He just sent the money and told me to pick something I liked. I sit in the front row of a church I would have mocked 10 years ago. The priest talks about strength, duty protection, commitment. Old me would have been rolling my eyes so hard I'd sprain something current. He just sits there and listens. I look around the church. It's packed with his friends and coworkers from offshore jobs and the trades, big men, scarred hands, busted knuckles, uncomfortable in dress shoes, suits fit like they borrowed them from cousins. And yet the energy in that room is unreal capability. That's the word. If the roof came down right then, these men would hold it up if a fire started. They'd run toward it. My old corporate crowd would post about it, maybe start a fund, maybe make a statement. These guys would move. And I realize, sitting there in my expensive dress, that civilization rests on shoulders like my son's. And I spent most of my life sneering at those shoulders at the reception. Ethan gives a speech, thanks his dad, first. Then thanks Emma. Then his crew talks about mentors, talks about loyalty. Then he pauses, looks right at me. Room gets quiet. And thanks to my mom. You could feel everyone lean in. She taught me that if you want something in this life, you have to fight for it. Even if the people who should support you don't. The room erupts, people clap, laugh, nod. They hear grit, they hear triumph. They think it's a sweet tribute. I know exactly what it is. It's my headstone, my ego. In one sentence, I smile. Anyway, wave a little, play my part, supporting character in his movie. Now later that night, I'm back in my fully paid off house. The new HV. AC hums, quietly warm air coming through vents. I did not pay for her. My husband is asleep upstairs. I stand in the living room for a while, then go to the bookshelf, pull down my old theory books, gender studies stuff, feminist theory, all my old journals about raising a non-toxic man, pages and pages of plans and frameworks and curated parenting. I hold them for a minute, then I look over at the mantle. There's a photo of Ethan in diving gear, giving a thumbs up on some deck in bad weather, face dirty eyes, bright alive. I take the books and journals to the garage, drop them in the recycling bin, come back inside, pour a glass of wine, sit in the dark, and for the first time in my life, I feel grateful that I failed. Because if I had gotten what I wanted, if I had made him soft, if I had reshaped him into my perfect son, we would have lost everything. I sip the wine and sit there with the truth. I'm a hypocrite and I'm a failure.